Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you're watching us from. The timing at your location. Welcome to our YouTube channel. I go by the name Kevin Audi, and in today's video, the first video on this channel, we are going to bring to our viewers some of the land ownerships that we have in Kenya. In Kenya, we have that is most probably better part of Africa and more so East Africa. We have different types of land or property. So in today's video, we are going to look at some of the properties that somebody can purchase or own in our country, Kenya. I'm coming to you from Africa, especially East Africa, country called Kenya, from a town called Kisumu. In today's video, we are going to look at some of the properties that people can own in Kenya. We have majorly three types of properties ownership that you can acquire in Kenya. In Kenya, we have the first one and the most beneficial. I call it the most beneficial because this is one type of property that if you acquire, it has very less hassle, and it also has very less expense depending on where you're acquiring it from, whether it is within the commercial area or the agricultural area or the residential area. You have very little processes and also very less costs that are involved. Then we have another one that has more costs that are involved, and then there'll be the third one. So we have majorly three types of land or property ownership in Kenya. That is the freehold, leasehold, and sectional. So the freehold property in Kenya are mostly those properties that if you get a title deed for it, you don't require to subscribe to any other payment except one, which it depends also on where the land is located. If the land is located within the commercial area or the municipality, you'll pay something called land rates. If it is located within the agricultural area, you'll realize there are areas that are exempted. If it is not within the municipality, you won't pay rate. You'll purchase the land, process your documents, and then you have your property without anything attached to it, without any other payment attached to it. And on the second one, which is the leasehold, it is a land that is leased from the government. Mostly it is always owned by the government, and then an individual or a company is allowed to lease it from the government, majorly for 99 years. On the third one, which is sectional ownership, this is the type of ownership where a property is developed. Once a property is developed and there are houses on it, then an individual or a company buys a section of that building. Majorly, you might find it's a flat, so you might end up buying a floor within the flat. That is called a sectional ownership or a sectional deed. which only gives you the right within the section that you've purchased. So let us look at some of these, all these ownership into details. Let us start with a freehold property. A freehold property gives the owner or whoever has acquired that property. It might be acquired through three major ways. You can inherit it maybe from your parents or your great parents, or it can be willed to you, or you can purchase it. So whenever you purchase a freehold property, you'll realize the process that will be involved is mostly processing of documentations. Once you have the land in your name, the land will remain in your name, and the only thing that you'll be required to pay, that is if your land is within the municipality, is purely land rates. And take note of this, that is if the land is within the municipality. For lands that are outside the municipality, there is no rate required to pay, and you will own your land without any sort of disturbance. The second ownership, which is the lease ownership, this is confirmed by something called a lease deed or a lease title or a lease certificate. A lease title gives you ownership of that particular land for a period stipulated within the lease. It might be 99 years. That is mostly in Kenya. They give it out for 99 years, renewable. So whatever you develop on this land, it means within 99 years, you're supposed to renew. So if 99 years find, which sometimes is not easy for us to acquire a leasehold and then renew it by ourselves, because life expectancy in East Africa, in the entire world, that is most probably 70 years. So if you are, let's say you acquire land, if you are young enough, maybe you are in your 20s, it's gonna take you around 50 to 60 years, and then you'll realize that you will be gone. Meaning, if you acquire this land from somebody who leased it, the years might elapse before your time, so you might end up renewing it, but whoever got the first lease might not be able to renew it. The third one, which is sectional, let me clarify on the leasehold. The leasehold has a lot of things attached to it, and most cases, whenever you're purchasing a leasehold property, there are things that you need to check. One of them, and most important, is the land rates. Most of leaseholds are within the municipality. The ones that are within the agricultural areas are the ones that are within the areas that are designated for maybe settlement, designated for maybe commercial agriculture, or any other way of agriculture that the government is involved. For a lease property, there are two payments that are involved. The first one is the land rate. Then the second one is what we call the land rent. So there are situations where most people that are purchasing a leasehold don't usually pay attention or take keen interest into land rent, and they end up paying for a property while only checking on the land rates and forget the land rent. So one day, whenever they want to sell that property, and then they get someone who understands what leasehold property is involved, they're gonna check the land rent arrears. Then they'll find there's a lot of land rent that has accumulated, together with penalties and interest. which almost amount to the value of the property. So it's always very important to check both the land rate and the land rent on leasehold property, because the government requires that you pay for the land rate, which you pay for to the municipality, or rather the current county government, and then you pay the government what you call land rent, which also is paid annually. Same way you pay land rate, you need to be paying your land rent annually. So for those who are watching this video and might be having their lease titles in their houses, please take your time, try and find out through a portal called Ardhi Sasa. At Ardhi Sasa, you'll get, if your land has been listed under Ardhi Sasa for land rent, you'll get your land. At the same time, you will get the arrears, total arrears that are there, together with the interest, penalties and interest that you're supposed to pay. So from there, you're gonna find you need to get somebody who understands this to assist you on moving through all this, so that you get, maybe if you can apply for a waiver, you get a waiver on the penalties and interest, and then you pay the principal land rent that has been accumulating all the years that you've gotten that land. If at all you bought the land and you didn't check the land rent, you only realize it after watching this video, I am so sorry about that, but now you need to do the right thing going forward, so that this thing doesn't accumulate and it gives you issues tomorrow when you want to dispose of your property, or you want to do some developments and you're looking for approvals here and there, and then somebody asks for land rent clearance certificate. At Ardhi Sasa, you'll get the land rent clearance certificate. And then at county government, or your county, the county where the land is located, you will get the land rate clearance certificate. Those are two very important and very key documents when it comes to lease property. Then we come to sectional property. Sectional property, most sectional property can now have the freehold and the leasehold. The situation where a property or a building is constructed on a freehold property, whenever it's constructed on a freehold property, there is what we call the mother title. The mother title is supposed to be handed over to lands. That is when every section has been sold, or the sectional certificate has been generated for each section, so that when the owner will be remaining, the owner is supposed to, the owner of the mother title or the developer is supposed to remain only with the certificates for the sections that has not been sold in their name, but the sections that have been sold are supposed to be given to the owners that has purchased them. So these are things that you need to check while purchasing a property, so that you don't reach a point where now you can't move forward with your property because you bought it unknowingly. There's another technical document that most people usually don't pay attention to, and they don't know what is it, or at what point is that document given. There is what we call allotment letter. Allotment letter is not a proof of ownership, and that is why whenever land has been allotted to anyone, it can easily be taken away, because with the allotment letter, that is a letter to show that you have been allotted that portion for development, which after development you're supposed to go further and check from allotment, where next is this supposed to go to. Most allotments are always leasehold properties that have been leased generally by a particular government organ. It might be municipality, the former municipality, which is currently county government, and then they allot it for development. Once it has been allotted for development, whoever has been allotted this property is supposed to follow it up. After developing it, you're supposed to follow it up so that it moves all the way up to leasehold. You get the lease certificate. Once you have the lease certificate, then now you are safe. But with allotment letter, if you allotted a property and you don't develop it within a stipulated time, which will be stipulated within the allotment letter, then the government organ that gave out that property reserves the right to take it back and allot it to somebody else who can develop it. Some of the allotment letters that can never move are mostly for the markets. Market centers, there are small portions that are usually allotted. That is, in Kenya we have some of them 10 by 10, some of them 10 by 20. So you are allotted these to develop it purposely for business. So in that is a commercial property that is allotted to you. In that case, mostly you will realize that you might have that letter as the only evidence you have to prove that you own that section. In most cases, selling land using allotment letter becomes a little bit challenging because very few people understand the ownership within the allotment letter. And in that case, the only thing you will be done to, if you are transferring allotment property, you'll realize will only be ratepayer. You'll only be given ratepayer change so that you have your name changed as a ratepayer and nothing much. You'll never be given new allotment letter. You'll have to retain the previous ones. Most of the things that were done, you will not alter or change anything. It will remain as it was agreed within the previous allotment letter which the previous owner had. The disadvantage with an allotment letter is you can never use it to acquire any facility anywhere. No bank will accept allotment letter. Not even Shylocks will accept allotment letter because it is not a document enough or proof enough that you own that property. So whenever you're purchasing any allotment property, please always be keen and be advised and informed that you can never use that particular document to acquire any loan anywhere until you move it to maybe a leasehold. That one now you can use it. Any financial institution might accept it. So I think in our next video we are going to bring to you some of the samples of these three ownerships that we've talked about. We're going to bring you a sample of a freehold title deed. We're going to bring you a sample of a lease certificate. We're also going to bring you a sample of a sectional certificate, which will show you so that you get to know this. Whenever you meet one, you don't get confused. You know, I know there are people who might be watching this video who are planning to acquire property and they don't know how some of these documents look like. If somebody presents a freehold title deed to you, how you're gonna check it? Some of the features we're going to look at. Somebody presents to you a lease certificate. Some of the features on how to know that this is a lease certificate and this is a freehold certificate. And then if somebody presents to you also a sectional certificate, how to check and how to know that this is a sectional certificate. Otherwise, thank you so much. Today's video was very short because it's introductory and it's our first video in this channel. Thank you for watching. If you are new here, kindly feel free to subscribe to our channel so that you keep getting some of these videos that we are going to upload. In our next video, we're going to upload a very important section of this video, which will be presentation and sampling of some of the titles that we've talked about and the features, which will help you and assist you know whenever you're going to purchase your property, know some of the things to check on before purchasing property. Thank you so much. Subscribe to our channel.